Welcome to a special edition of Offset. Larry and the Big Man. I'm Larry Richert from KDK. That's Jay Caufield, two-time Stanley Cup champion and Sportsnet hockey analyst. And we want to thank One Team Media's Brian Hess and producing today, Mark Connington. Ryan Jorgen also is snapping photos of our special guest. And from Odyssey, Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli, thanks.
Also, Dave Rourke with the Rourke Automotive Group and Tom Grealish with Henderson Brothers. Thank you both for being a part of it and allowing us to have our special guest. I don't want to give it away. I'm going to let Larry do the intro. But thank you so much,
gentlemen,
guys.
Please welcome from Appleton, Wisconsin, via Notre Dame, four-time Super Bowl champion, Rocky Bleier, and true American hero. Rock, good to see you.
It's
Good to
always
see you,
a pleasure.
Rock.
Nice to see you, too. Nice to be with you.
Boy, we got a few
God,
questions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that, knowing both of you. That's right.
First of all,
I don't know anything about hockey.
right.
Rock.
Your old roommate was Jack Lambert. He played with Jay and I.
Yeah.
It was about 10 years, and
Yeah, well,
still pretty close. He gets invited to the mountain, retreat. And I know he still talks to you, and once in a while I get a sour text, but just for the record, he didn't know much about hockey either. But don't
But
tell
he
him
played
I
it.
said that.
he played
Wait,
with us. Yeah.
I saw you guys play. I mean,
Yeah.
I went and was sitting in the stands and,
Oh, God.
and watching you.
I think if he had a choice, I think he would have rather played. If he'd have played hockey earlier, I think he would have liked to have been a.
Well,
a
no,
hockey player.
it's way- yeah.
Yep.
It kind of worked out for him.
It
when
kind of
they
worked out.
chose that other thing.
Well, it's every year. It's right around this time too, where they show the highlight of, Cliff Harris and Lambert just turning and seeing it.
That's
right.
right.
Right. They always say you have to hear it with the game films and the voice right of NFL films, which
The late John Facenda,
Yeah.
back then it was, there are 27 teams in pro football, and then there are the Pittsburgh Steelers. I used to,
so good, big man.
kid,
So good.
Rocky Bleier.
Well, I can tell you this too. When I was playing football, when I was in college playing football, and our two-a-days, which is a grind, right? It's a grind.
Yeah.
And our every night after our second practice, we come back and have our dinner, and we always watch NFL films. And I'll never, honestly, for any player, I'm sure that was there, when you hear that voice the way you just did it, and then the films, watching all this. I mean, we saw every night we saw all the Super Bowls. So watching the rework of that and that voice right there, and knowing that Rocky's with us here, pretty special.
That's
Well,
great.
when the late ambassador, Dan Rooney, passed, ESPN lined up all the Super Bowl highlight films, and I watched them in order, which I had never done before, binge watching like people do now with streaming shows. And I told Rocky, who I've known actually while he was still playing, he came to record for NBC this, I forget the name of the thing. That's how I knew you were from Appleton, Wisconsin, how your grandfather used to blow cigar smoke into your ear if you had an earache.
Right.
I remember all this stuff. I mean, it's Rocky Bleier, for God's sake. But when I watched the highlights of the Super Bowl, I said to Rock, gee, I forgot how much of an important role you played. And then he ends up on the cover of Sports Illustrated with a catch in the end zone.
That's right.
And all those receivers were mad at you.
So what would be on top of what Larry just talked about? What is the one moment you would think that you cherish outside of, I know the win, but what moment as far as even a player? What was the best moment for you in pro?
In playing? In
Yeah,
all?
and your Steeler years. And,
Well, keep in mind, he was the captain on a national championship.
so I'll say NFL.
Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
We'll get to that too and how they got hosed.
He
a little.
played
So-
for the Lord.
That's right. I just want to tell your listeners it's terrific to be able to do this show with you two guys, because I don't have to say a word. And anyway,
I was almost thinking that while we were talking. I go, has Rocky had to say anything
it's
for 5
very
minutes?
entertaining, and it's more entertaining when you're right here with it live, and it's perfect. So, favorite, favorite. Everybody has favorites. Favorite play, game, situation, whatever it might be. But probably one of my favorite moments, really a favorite moment, was our first Super Bowl. So it was the first Super Bowl, and we're down in New Orleans, and it was a big hype, and so we get the game's won, and my goodness gracious, and it's ticking down. It's ticking down, and so the defense is on the field. I'm inching off to the sidelines because as soon as that game's over with, I'm heading right to the locker room. I'm standing around not to be. I didn't want people come over and say congratulations and fans on the field. No, I wanted to get off the field. So anyway, I was boom, and I was the first one, and I walk into the locker room, and who's standing there but Mr. Rooney?
Oh yeah,
the chief. And I'm the first guy that walks in, and he turns and he sees me, and I walk up to him, and he grabs my hand, and he hugs me, and he says, "Thank you."
Yeah, that would be...
Especially knowing that when you were wounded in Vietnam, you received that postcard from him.
Right, yeah.
That said...
Stay with...
No, we need you, Rock. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And that was a big encouragement. Yeah. And your story is so incredible. I mean, I can't imagine that moment, just hearing you tell the story of what a moment that must have been for him too, because he had faith in you.
Well, I was the first guy that got in there.
You know what? No, think about it. You don't get that if you don't do if you don't leave like you do, you're never going to get that one special moment that's right there.
Right there.
Totally get that.
So it was on the...
Well, that said, I want to mention the curtain call for Super Bowl X. You guys are gathering on Saturday night at Stage AE, and all these names, all the Steeler fans know, all your former teammates, Joe Green, Jack Ham, Randy Grossman, John Kolb, just great guys, because you guys not only delivered our city the Super Bowls, but almost all of you stayed here and continued to contribute to the community.
Yeah.
And it's meant a lot in 50 years. So it's curtain call. You still have an opportunity. Check that out if you want to join the greats from Super Bowl X.
That's right. I get to, you talk about, except we're going to talk about Super Bowl's coming up, obviously. And so the Super Bowls that we played in, and, and who knew, really? So when I talk about that period of time, you really have to go back. So I came in the league in 1968, and the year before Chuck Noll came, and so Chuck came in the following year, and so he went 1-14, which fit in perfectly with the records that they've had over the last 40 years, but. The interesting thing is building the team, and building the team, and all of a sudden you saw 1969 and #1 draft choice, Joe Green, and so you got Joe Green, but we've had #1 draft choices, and then the following year you get Terry Hanratty, and then you get
from Butler,
Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right, and then Mel Blount comes in, and so and Franco Harris, and then you start looking at building that team in '73, and in '74 we have a great draft season. Who knows? Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Jack Lambert, Donnie Shell, now all Hall of Famers that are there, but the team kind of so. You come in, go 1-13 for that 14th season, and you start to build. And by 1972, first time in the history of that franchise, if we remember going back, did we win the division, and we got into the playoffs. And it was during the playoffs, really. One play changes the course and direction, and that play goes down in the annals as one of the all-time great comebacks, affectionately known as the Immaculate Reception. Deflected pass, Franco Harris scoops up 52 yards down the sidelines within 26 seconds left on the clock. Score to win the game. But that was it. That was the beginning, and was a belief system. And then 73, and then 74, we get to the Super Bowl, and we go to the Super Bowl. And I have to tell you, Super Bowls were terrific, and we'd go down. So here's the thing. So we go down to New Orleans. We're all down in New Orleans our first time. Okay, fine, down to New Orleans. Well, And so we go down on Sunday. We go down on Sunday. Now, our regular work schedule is during the season is that you play the game on Sunday. Monday you review the film. Okay. No, Monday you have off. Tuesday you review the film, and then Thursday becomes offensive day, then defensive day, and then combination. Okay. So we're flying down on Sunday. We're down in New Orleans, and Chuck says, "All right, I'll see you guys on Tuesday." You're kidding me? Wow!
Oh boy!
It was like,
Bourbon Street. Here we go.
So we got there late in the afternoon. Everybody was gone. Nobody came in. We didn't have curfew. We had Monday off, and then we had Monday night off, and then we had Tuesday, which was just a general meeting to begin with, and then we had kind of like Tuesday night. Probably the smartest move he ever made, only because now all of a sudden you go, oh, thank God it's Wednesday. Thank God it's Thursday. You didn't go out and you're tired. You got it out of your system. So,
how was the guys' the first day of practice back? Everybody's just just go, oh yeah, here we go again. No, so that's the one thing. You were ready to, and then you play the game. I was laughing when you said about Mr. Rooney being in the locker room and thinking about some owners of today. I always go back to Arthur Blank being on the sideline at halftime of the Atlanta Falcons New England game, and it's halftime. It was halftime. He put the Maluk, he jinxed. It went south from that point on. Instead of letting the team, I understand. Special to be. I can't imagine being an owner what that's about. But when he came down there versus what Mr. Rooney was about, just completely, it's so different today, right, Rocky? It's just across the board, it's different. The game's different. College is different. Everything.
Speaking of which, we've had 3 coaches.
That's right.
Since Chuck Noll came, now they're trying to find the next Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, Chuck Noll. That's a tall order.
It sure is. To be able to find that right personality that fits and coach and brings the skill set that's needed to be a head coach. And so it'll be interesting as they go through this process, because I'm sure there's a couple that are on teams that are still playing, so we won't get an idea yet until after maybe the Super Bowl, unless something comes up before that.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to come in, so there's a lot of expectation about a new coach. And if you look at, and it's a shame only because of the fact that this is what you have to deal with. You look at Mike Tomlin in his 19 years here, and what he's established as a success model. Some people go, well, he hadn't won. He didn't get to the playoffs. And, but in the scheme of things, as you look at the game changing, he's been very successful. So now comes a new entity into this. Now, fans in general are going, oh, we need a new coach. That they want to win. They want to, whatever it might be until you don't win, and then they start talking about you. So,
were you surprised that Sean McDermott of the Bills got fired? Of all the coaches, Harbaugh, 18 seasons.
That was those 2 specifically. You go,
I know.
What do you get? They got the experience. They've been there. Okay, unlike new coaches. Then who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to get as a coach in today's?
That's better than what you. That literally was better than what you had.
Right, than what you had. That's a.
Do you feel like what I can remember our locker rooms in hockey's different. 23 guys in a locker room versus the football world, and you have to have a guy that can command the room immediately. If he's whoever it is, whoever they sign up, because think about your personalities
Right.
on your teams.
Yeah.
If you didn't have somebody that ruled with an iron fist, and you say that it's not really that way, but you have to have, you got to earn that respect like immediately.
Right.
Otherwise, if you don't gain the room, it's going to be trouble.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think, so I mean, my only experience goes back to Chuck and what he established at that time, and getting those players, so those players. Now, Chuck was not a yeller, was not a screamer. Chuck was very methodical in his approach to the game. He would never embarrass a player in front of the other players. He wouldn't yell at you or any of that thing.
Really?
He'd take you, yeah.
That's interesting.
He might take you aside, and get you on a one-on-one, but I think that was very important. He allowed the team to lead itself, or that, and getting people to do that. And then so everybody has, it's like in all teams, everybody has some impact on one another. And then there's leaders, there's guys who are going to take charge, and by their own playing ability, and their position, they have a certain responsibility. When I came into the league, Andy Russell was our captain of the team, and
Loved Andy.
Yeah, and Andy had a sense of leadership about him, and so on. And then Joe Green kind of had to take that over as Joe, because of his position, and so on. And then for us, it wasn't until the latter part, and really that true leader became Jack Lambert. In the fact is that when you're playing, peer pressure is more important than any other pressure, whether head coach or an owner coming down. But you want to be friends with your guys, but they start getting on you for how you played or didn't play or so on. Ooh, then you take it, pretty seriously. And so Jack was kind of that guy, and very important to the success, and not afraid to, tell anybody, that's not how we do it. This is what needs to be done, and so on.
I guess you say that, yeah.
That part we have a sense of just from
Yeah, we have a
spending
sense.
a little time over the years with Jack.
That's right.
Jacques Lambert, as we
That's
call
right.
him in hockey.
But I think it's the same way in hockey,
is.
right? Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, or in any team sports, you need
I
somebody.
think we had our locker rooms, Rocky, going back to the success, the first two Stanley Cup teams. Mario was in a, he did it by, first of all, he had a presence when he walked in the room. It was a natural presence, and what he did on the ice, everybody responded to that. He wasn't a big talker in the locker room, but there was enough other personalities inside our locker room that did just that.
Right.
And would hold people, and people were held accountable in a way that you understood if you had a role that you needed to perform it. And
Right.
it was understood. And that's how you, in the hockey world, that's how you kind of can win. And again, have the greatest player in the game, and have everybody understand their roles, and have guys that hold other people accountable. It was good for us.
It was a good way. Yeah, very much so.
Rocky, I don't know of anybody else that was drafted twice in the same season as you,
And me, that's right.
by the Steelers and by
By the Army. So that's right.
Tell Jay about how that happened. You're in the locker room, they bring you.
That was, so you go, all right, fine. So I was in the locker room. This has happened twice. The first one was this. I was in the locker room, and I get a letter, and it's my 1A classification for being eligible for the draft. Now, for the listeners out there, you have to understand that this is 1968. It was the height of the war in Vietnam. We had 500,000 troops overseas, and the draft was the only way that people could fulfill that obligation, and so it was very high. So coming out of college, you had a student deferment, and then your 1A classification made you eligible for that draft. And I was in the locker room. This was early in training camp. I was in the locker room, and I got my 1A classification. So I took it to the Steelers, and saying, because the option was get into the reserve or the National Guard, fulfill your obligation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are being shipped off to Vietnam. And so they said, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll take care of this for you. And then a month went by, and then another month went by, and so it's now like October, now it's November, and I hadn't heard. I said, wait, did you hear anything about? Well, we're having a little problems, The congressman got defeated, the general retired, all our contacts were out of the, and it was the height of the war, as I said before. So I said, oh, okay, fine. So I said, don't worry, but we're working on it. Oh, okay, fine. So now it's December. I hadn't heard anything. It's December. And so, again, I'm in the locker room when one of the equipment guys goes, hey, Bleier, there's a letter over here for you. Oh, now you have to understand the locker room is this, and all the fan mail, whatever fan mail that came to the players, was deposited on a little table that was in the locker room. And so I went over and perused through the mail, and there it was. I mean, really, I was kind of excited. It was my first piece of fan mail, that I received at the time. And I opened it up, slipped out the paper inside, and unfolded it, and said, "Greetings. We'd like to inform you that you've been inducted into the armed services of your country."
Wow.
To report the next morning at 7 a.m. to be inducted into the army. It was post-dated like 2 weeks before, or a week before. I was supposed to get it. By the time I got it through the mail, wherever it was, oh my goodness gracious. And so, boom, I was gone. So it was off to basic training and then advanced infantry training, and went through that whole process that the veterans had gone through at that time, and ended up in Vietnam.
Rocky, how long between that letter and then when you're out, and what went on to back in the States?
Yes, so that was so I got there in December. I should say December of '68. So went through basic training, and then was in Vietnam in August of '69. So by the time I went through, or May, I'm sorry, it was in May of '69. I went through basic training, advanced infantry training. I got in country in May of '69. And then it was August of that year that we ran into our conflict, and I got wounded during that conflict at the time in August. But and then came back.
Yeah.
And you were picked up by somebody, you still don't know to this day who it was that carried you wounded out of the field.
Right, yes. And so, but part of the things, we were in a hot enemy activity area, and so we were out. Our whole platoon was out, and I was probably maybe fifth, sixth in line. I was a grenadier carrying an M79 grenade launcher. When all of a sudden our point man had hollered "gook gook" when he saw the enemy activity moving in the bushes, and a couple shots were fired. They started to run. We started to chasing him. When all of a sudden machine guns started to level the area, and boy, we were diving into the rice paddies to the left and the right of us, and I jumped into the paddy to the left of me, crawled on my hands and knees, found another one lying below us. 4 of my teammates were in there, and I saw the machine gun, so I rolled over my side, breached a grenade to get some firepower on that position, when all of a sudden I felt a thud in my left leg and started to burn and bled, and I was hit for the first time that day. So we were in that firefight, and then we moved, and I crawled out of there, got into a secured area, and then they probed our area again, and all of a sudden I saw a hand grenade come flying through the air, and it hit my commanding officer right in the middle of the back and bounced off and rolled between my feet, and before I could jump out of the way, as I was jumping out of the way, it blew up, and it blew up through my lower legs and my right foot, and so it was the second time I got hit. But, and so then we were in a firefight until a sister platoon fought its way down and dragged us out of there, and then got to a security area. But dragging us out of there was, somebody picked me up, before and drag. I can't carry any further. And so I'm lying there when all of a sudden his black hand reaches down, pulls me up, picks me up and carries me over his shoulders and carries me out until we got to a secure area. And I never knew his name, didn't know where he came from or anything of that nature. But that's, it's like sports. It's the brotherhood of being together, and playing and having your back. And
to survive all that, get back to playing, win 4 Super Bowls. It's why your story resonates with so many people, because it's so remarkable, Rock, and that the good you have done and continued to do for veterans in particular, is so appreciated, I know, by them and their families. Yeah. So we thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, those 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, by the way, Rock, and I know, I talked about this with you before, but the movie. So they make a movie of it. Did you like how it was Robert York, right?
Yeah, Robert York.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, I know, because I watched it again
right.
before. So I thought it was. I remember watching it before I got to Pittsburgh, and always the story was just a great. And then to meet you after being here and seeing it, then I rewatched the movie again, which everybody should rewatch the movie. But Robert York.
No, I don't think everybody should rewatch.
No, they should. I think everybody should.
But you could read the book. It's in its 2nd edition, which is outstanding detail of all of that.
That's right.
Did you like how he portrayed? Did you like
Robert York? Yeah. I was tall, good looking. So I thought it was perfect. It was perfect. Perfect fit. He did a wonderful job.
We've been blessed to have you here in Pittsburgh, and you still follow the team's games pretty close, don't you? I mean, you're a fan, right?
Right, I'm a fan, like everybody else. And the other thing too is, and you well know, because you get some association with the team. Is that everybody wants your opinion.
Oh,
or what they think everything that's going on, or
hey, Rock.
Hey, Mom, what do you think?
That's good. Hall of Honor induction.
It is, you're going, oh, okay. Well, what do you think about the draft? What do you think about the Steelers?
So what do you think about championship weekend? Denver loses Bo Nix, their quarterback. They host the red-hot New England Patriots, and then you have the Seattle Seahawks hosting the Rams. Who do you like in those 2 games? Do you have a favorite?
I don't really have a favorite, because that way I can sit and watch the game, and enjoy the game and watch it from the aspect of, who's gonna, the expectations, so we get some changes that take place, and people rise to the occasion, or players rise to the occasion. Who's going to turn the ball over? Who's going to make that?
That's the part it's a part that as an athlete or whatever, you're at this one moment. Say it's a 4th down play, or I don't remember teams going for it on 4th down as much
as they are.
So I'm kind of not all the time what they're doing, but just think about though, Rocky, right? You have assignment on each play. This is a 3rd or 4th down, and you need 1 yard. And for everybody to pull off for it to be successful, you need everybody to be doing their job.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why all the work and practice and what you do, it's monotonous, just continues to go over plays and plays and plays. But when it comes time, it's the only way you can be successful at it. So you hand it to everybody. But we find the game so different. The coaching changes. Larry said earlier in the week, there's, what did you say, almost 1/3.
Well, there was 1/3 of the coach availabilities for the entire league at one point.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Right?
That's never happened in the past.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sport where that's common. I mean, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially here, when we've had such stability, we've changed every we have Don Kelly, the new manager for the Pirates. We have Dan Muse, the new coach of the Penguins. We're going to have a new coach for the Steelers. I think the Riverhounds got a new one too. So this is a remarkable year.
Change here.
That's hockey, right. What happens? Hockey has it happen more in season than any other sport. There's coaching changes mid-season. Yeah. More. It does. I know it can't really work, and doesn't happen in football, or too often, very rare. In hockey, it happens a lot. because if the team's really south and not playing well, Rock, they make a change and there can be an immediate kick. It's different, but the numbers and the way the game is looked at today is it's just different.
Which you will be sharing stories, curtain call,
It's
bringing the 50-year, can't believe that, right?
50 years, I know.
Celebration of Super Bowl 10, Stage AE, Saturday night at 7. A lot of your teammates that still mean a lot to this town are going to be there. So,
good, yeah.
Rock,
It'll be great.
We appreciate you making time for
Oh,
us.
for you. Oh, it's a pleasure being with you guys. It's
We're going to get you an original Yinzer Dog tailgate.
Oh, yeah, so Larry,
no.
So we give away a Yinzer Dog of the Week package. We did it all through the football season. Now we're going to find it in the hockey and every other sport. But
yeah.
why don't you explain to Rocky what's in the Yinzer Dog
He
package?
hand-delivered Aaron Rodgers a
did.
pack just
2 weeks ago.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's original Yinzer Dogs along with Stanley P. Kachowski Kobasi, Jimmy Krent,
Right?
Babushka Mama Pierogies, and Yinzer Halushki. So
See that, right?
Oh, it's perfect.
Yes.
does it get any bigger than that?
It
No.
doesn't.
No.
You
But
know,
all the
it's like-
Super
bigger than
Bowl
that.
trophies and rings and accolades,
but never this. This
will
is
be
it.
right up there.
It'll be perfect. That's what it's all about.
Rocky Bleier,
Yes.
curtain call. Check that out this weekend at Stage AE.
Rock, we can't thank you enough. Seriously, you've made your time to be with us. And we appreciate it so much.
All right, my pleasure.
We want to thank you as well, and we want to thank One Team Media, Brian Hess and his team, Mark Coddington, who is producing this episode, Odyssey Pittsburgh, and Michael Spacciapoli.
Also, Dave Rourke, the Rourke Automotive Group, lifetime state inspections, lifetime oil change, engine warranties, and also Tom Gross with Henderson Brothers. Again, we thank both of you so much, and you have a little bit more to add on Henderson Brothers.
Yeah, Tom Grealish, he's another great guy, very philanthropic with the Mario Lemieux Foundation in particular for business, insurance, and home. Since 1893, it's Henderson Brothers, hendersonbrothers.com. That said, what a great opportunity, Rock,
Yeah.
to have you, and thank you. Wish you all the best in
My
the future.
pleasure. Thank you, guys.
I think
All right.
it's going to work out for him. All right, that's this edition of Offset, and gentlemen, that's a wrap.